Hello, this is Dave Lee Travis welcoming you to another edition of the Top 10 Auto Show. Each week we give you the Men and Motors Top 10 countdown for a particular class of car, with the judging being carried out by the Top 10 Auto Show expert panel, which includes editors of the major motoring magazines. And this week we give you the Top 10 compact executives. So let's start the countdown at number 10. In at number 10 this year is Jaguar's X-Type. Now, you may think that the budget price of the X-Type would mean that you'd be getting a car that's not up to the usual Jaguar standards. Well, far from it. Being based on the Ford Mondeo, the X-Type is going to be a good handling car, and though it's not as sharp as some of its best rivals, it's still a great performer in both 2- and 4-wheel drive formats, and it's certainly worthy of the Jaguar badge. It's on the inside of the Jag you can see the real Mondeo roots, as many of the switches are taken straight from the Ford. Though the cabin is well put together and equipment levels are good, it's not up to the standards set by the likes of the BMW, Mercedes or Audi in this sector, and I'm sure that many people would be put off by the heavy use of the standard Ford hardware here. But snobbery aside, the baby Jag is a good all-round performer, and it's well worthy of a place in our top 10. Let's now take a look at the manufacturer's facts and figures for the X-Type.
Positiveness here.
You may be surprised that it only made 10th slot, so let's see how our expert panel scored the X-Type. In 10th place then, with an average percentage of 65, the Jaguar X-Type. Taking 9th slot this year is another relative newcomer to the world of compact executive motoring, the Lexus IS 200 and 300. When you look at the design of the IS range of cars, you can see that Lexus wanted to get it right first time. It's got the rear-wheel drive layout of the best cars in this class, and both the 200 and 300 cars get straight-six engines in 2 or 3 litre form. On the inside of the IS 200 and 300, everything's well laid out, has the usual high-end Lexus and Toyota quality feel to it. The instrument design is the nicest feature here, and it's genuinely different to anything else on the market. When it comes to the ride, both the 200 and the 300 are certainly more sporty than most executives. That does mean that around town and on uneven road surfaces, the ride can seem harsh. But out on the motorway, where this car's likely to spend most of its time, the Lexus is a superb car for eating up the miles. So, if you fancy an executive motor that's a little different to the usual Beamers and Audis, the Lexus IS could be the one for you. Let's have a look at the all-important manufacturer's data. And from the manufacturer's figures to those of our expert panel, as we see how they've marked the Lexus in the top 10 categories. With an average score of 66%, the Lexus IS 200 and 300 takes this year's 9th position. Taking 8th position this year is the S60 from Volvo. When you look at the curvy lines of the S60, it's hard to believe that all Volvo ever used to produce were hard, angular shoeboxes on wheels. Now, like the Lexus we've just seen, Volvo have gone for a sportier feel to their S60. There's 3 petrol engines available, all of which are turbocharged, and even the basic 2-litre will get you to 60 in just over 8 seconds. If you really want performance though, the T5 offers a stonking 250 horsepower, but it can make for interesting handling. Where the S60 does fare extremely well is with its safety and with its interior space. After all, this is a Volvo, so your spacious cabin and passenger area is protected by the usual array of airbags as well as a host of electronic wizardry to help keep you on the tarmac. So let's check out those stats for the S60. Now let's see how our expert panel have marked the Volvo. In 8th place then, with an average 68%, the Volvo S60. In at 7th spot this year is the Rover 75. If Volvo and Lexus are aiming their cars at the sporting executive drivers, Rover are clearly aiming their 75 at the classic old-school executive. As soon as you look at the 75, you can see Rover's smooth flowing lines and the bold, old English grille. They're reminiscent of classic English models gone by. The same goes for the interior, with heavy use of walnut effect trim and cream and chrome detailing on the dashboard. It all has the feel of an English gentleman's car, and it's really well put together, though models with cloth trim can look a little tame. We've already said that the Rover 75 isn't aimed at the sporting drivers, and that's equally apparent when you get out on the road. The car is set up with comfort in mind rather than cornering prowess, and whilst it would be blown away on the B-roads by the likes of the Lexus and BMW, out on the motorway, this is one of the most comfortable long-range cruisers in its class. Let's take a look at the specifications then for the Rover 75. And to find out how it scored, here's the panel's marks for the Rover. So, with an average percentage of 69, the Rover 75 takes 7th place. Just failing to make the top 5 in this year's chart is the Mercedes C-Class. Now, if you ask anyone to name a luxury brand of car, chances are they'll say Mercedes. But is the C-Class as good as the top flight cars carrying the 3-pointed stars? Well, out on the road, the Little Merc is a great performer. On twisting roads, the C-Class is sharp and precise with great steering and a good composed chassis. Yet get the car on the motorway and it has the characteristics of a great long-range cruiser. As many manufacturers are now doing, the C-Class shares the similar front-end design of its bigger brothers, so there shouldn't be too much stigma in driving around in the cheaper car in the Mercedes lineup. It's on the inside, though, that you can tell this is the baby of the Mercedes range. Although everything's well put together, some of the materials used feel quite plasticky and they're not up to the usual Mercedes standard. Having said that, the front space is quite impressive with loads of space for executive bits and pieces, but because the car is rear-wheel drive, the transmission tunnel does limit the rear passenger space. Here's the facts and figures for the Mercedes C-Class range. And from the manufacturer stats to those of our expert panel as we see how they've scored the little Mercedes. With an average percentage of 71 then, the C-Class takes 6th place. So we move up to the top 5, and taking 5th place this year is the second Swede in our chart, the Saab 9.3. Saab have done a fabulous job with the ride of the 9.3. It's solid and refined, and it's one of the more enjoyable cars in this class to drive. As well as sharing its country of origin with Volvo, the Saab also shares its level of safety kit with airbags and safety curtains at every corner and a host of electronic gizmos such as traction control, brake force distribution and an electronic stability program. Although the Saab is an impressive piece of kit out on the road, you'll be just as impressed with it sat in a showroom, as the interior of the 9.3 is a work of art and is easily a match for the likes of BMW and Audi. There's a real feeling of quality here, and the fit of all those components is first class. And it's a cabin that 5 adults can easily appreciate, as the Saab is not only well appointed, but also very roomy with a large boot to round it all off. Well, before you all run off to go and sit in one in the Saab dealers, have a look at the manufacturer's stats for the 9.3. No doubt about it, the Saab 9.3 is a very impressive compact executive, but let's see just how our expert panel have marked it in the 5 top 10 auto show categories. Well, that's it for part 1, but do keep watching, as after the break we'll reveal the top 4 compact executive cars for this year. Hello and welcome back to the Top 10 Auto Show, where this week we're running down the top 10 compact executives of the year. Without further ado, let's find out which cars make it into the top 4. Taking 4th place this year is the Italian stallion, the Alfa Romeo 156. Now, one thing you can never accuse Alfa Romeo of is going with the flow when it comes to the looks of their cars. Every model in the Alfa range is very unique, yet absolutely stunning, with curves and details that leave you in no doubt of the car you're looking at. And it's the unique aspect of Alfa's designs that will really appeal to the executive wanting to drive something that little bit different. When it comes to the noisy bit, every one of the Alfa's petrol engines delivers exciting performance. Even the basic 1.6 has the famous rough Alfa exhaust note. Though like many high-powered front-wheel drive cars, the V6s can be a bit of a handful when pushed hard. There is a diesel available, but the good news is you don't have to sacrifice performance for economy, so your executive workmates will be impressed, as your diesel will still get to 60 in under 10 seconds. The bad news, though, is that your car will be worth a lot less than the German rivals after 3 years, which is something to bear in mind if you're buying a compact executive privately. So let's take a look at the specifications for the Alfa 156. We know it's in 4th spot, but here's how the Men and Motors panel have marked the Alfa. In 4th place then, with an average percentage of 73, the Alfa 156. We're into the top 3 now, and in 3rd place it's the MG ZT. Now, whereas some of our top 10 cars have subtly suggested a sporty performance, the MG ZT shouts it before you've even put the key in the ignition. Though it shares the same body shell as the Rover 75, the observant of you may notice the in-your-face body kit and wire mesh grille, and of course the huge alloy wheels and low-profile tyres. The interior too is very different from the pipe and slippers interior of the Rover 75, with cream dials and fake wood being replaced by a lovely combination of aluminium and graphite. Out on the road, the ZT feels very taut and composed, as the MG engineers have done a great job in making over the Rover 75's platform. Though the ride may be a little too harsh for some, on the twisty roads this really is an exciting car to drive, and the top-spec 190 horsepower V6 is the perfect partner for this sporty setup. Let's take a look at the specifications for the ZT. It's getting close in the top three, but here's how our expert panel have marked the MG. With an average percentage of 74, the MG ZT takes third place. There was only 1 point separating the two top places, but just pipped to second this year is the Audi A4. Now, what's that old saying? Ah yes, you get what you pay for. Well, Audis certainly aren't cheap, but boy are they good. As if made from one block of material, the A4 feels incredibly solid, be it from the boot lid to the glove box door, and you can easily see why Audi's considered the benchmark for build quality in the automotive world. Of all of this week's cars, the A4 has the widest range of engines available, and though the 1.8 turbo unit is probably the best all-rounder, there's a tax-relieving 1.6, but don't expect it to provide thrilling performance. When it comes to the ride of the A4, it has to be said that it's very firm, which won't suit everyone. Although the handling is first class and the car has great cornering abilities, the firmness can be a little jarring on uneven roads. Thank goodness then that Audi seats are always supremely comfortable. Overall then, there's no doubting the fact that the Audi A4 is one of the best compact executive cars you can buy. Let's take a look at those stats. There's only 1% between this car and our top compact executive, so let's see how our panel have marked the A4. In second place then, with 77%, the Audi A4, which means that in first place is... well, you'll find out in just a minute, as first here's a quick recap of the cars we've seen so far. In at number 10 this year is the Jaguar X-Type. At number 9 is the Lexus IS200 and 300. Taking 8th place is the Volvo S60. This year's 7th spot goes to the Rover 75. In 6th place is the Mercedes C-Class. On to the top 5, and in 5th is the Saab 9.3. At number 4 is Alfa's 156. Making it number 3 this year is the MG ZT. And in second place is the Audi A4. Which means it's yet another top 10 first place for BMW, this time with their 3 Series. For years now, BMW have been seen as one of the executive brands to have. If Audi set the benchmark for interior build quality, then BMW certainly set it for ride and handling. Whether on A and B roads or out on the motorway, the 3 Series is a supreme performer, being comfortable, solid yet nimble and exciting at the same time. Once inside your Beamer, you will be impressed by the supremely well-appointed and well-equipped cabin, and like the Audi, all of the switches and controls feel like they'd last a lifetime. There are a few areas where the 3 Series has been bettered by some of the cars in our top 10. Firstly with value, as cars such as the Rover 75 and the Alfa 156 do offer more kit and better performance at the cheaper end of the price spectrum. and secondly with its practicality, as the 3 Series is certainly a tight cabin when compared to the competition, but perhaps this is a small trade-off when you look at the car's overall performance. Let's have a quick look at the specifications of the winning 3 Series.
Break it up. Break it down like this. Break it up. Break it down like this.
We know it's the winner, but here's how our expert panel have scored the BMW in the top 10 auto show categories.
Good evening. It's Rob Ovens, Managing Director of Menham Motors, and I'm delighted to be here with Phil Horton, Marketing Director of BMW. And I'm about to present him with the award for the top compact executive car, the BMW 3 Series, a very well-deserved award chosen by the Menham Motors panel. Well done, Phil.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. I have to say that this is our best-selling car, bar none, and it's really important for us to make sure that we keep some clear blue water between ourselves and the competition. So particularly good that we've won this one. Thanks very much indeed.
It's a very well-deserved award, and many congratulations.
Thank you.
It's congratulations then to BMW for another first place in this year's Top 10 Auto Show. I'm Dave Lee Travis. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon for another Top 10 Auto Show.